So yeah, like I was saying, yeah, kids just bring you so much happiness. It's a wonderful journey, you know, just being able to watch them grow and being able to be there for them, and just like, I've always been in my kids' life from day one, like, you know, from the time my wife was pregnant right up till she gave birth. I was there when she gave birth, and I've been in their lives, you know, right from
They
the
bring
beginning.
you pleasure, don't they?
And yeah, they motivate you. They bring joy to the house, to the household. Even, you know what I mean. They bring, you know what I mean.
Sunshine. They bring the sunshine.
Yeah.
Or they can do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think if you know how to love a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a parent, that's what's important. And some
Yeah.
parents don't know.
And
they've got a clue.
and discipline too, because, and I'm not talking about physical discipline or anything like that. I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about physical discipline. I'm talking about discipline in the sense of, you have to teach your children that respect is important, and that you're, as a parent, yes, you can be their your goal. You want to be their best friend, of course. You know, you'd love to be their best friend, but being a parent trumps everything else. If you see what I'm talking, if you see what I mean. Sometimes, as a parent, you have to make decisions that your kids might not necessarily like. You know what I mean? They might ask you to go somewhere or to do something that, you know, when they get to a certain age, say they're a teenager or whatever, and you get to, you know, you might not feel comfortable with it, and you might have to actually, you know, put your foot down and say, actually, you know what, as a parent, I don't feel comfortable with you doing this. I think it might be a risk to you or others around you, or something bad could happen, and I don't want you going. And they might be upset with you for a few weeks, might be really pissed off, might be angry because they didn't get to go with their friends and have a good time or whatever else, or whatever they thought they were going to do. But sometimes, as a parent, you have to make you have to make those decisions, and it's not always easy, because obviously you want your kids to be happy. You always want your kids to be happy, but sometimes you have to put boundaries in place so that they know that if there's a respect. If you see what I mean, respect is mutual. If you see what I mean, respect goes a long way. You have to be, you know, remember that you're a child, and a child is you know, you know, stays in a child's place, essentially, if you see what I mean, and acts accordingly, if you see what I mean. And you know, you got, the reason you have parents is to guide you and to show, you know, to, you know, help you to grow along the way, you know, educate you, etc. along the way, you know, until you become an adult, and then you can, obviously, once you leave under your, you know, under your parents' roof, or under, you know, from their household, then you can be, you know, you can have your own life and do your own thing and make your own decisions and do what you want to do. But up until that point, your parents have a responsibility to ensure that the goal of any good parent is to make all the best decisions in your behalf. If you see what I mean, up until you're a certain age where you can then fully make decisions for yourself. Yeah, I mean.
I mean, there's so many different things that are important for children, like the environment.
Yeah.
That the child's living in.
Oh yeah, of course.
House,
that's paramount. That's right.
the home.
Yeah.
You know, has it got a garden? You know, there's lots of different things, you know, which makes life different for everyone in a kind of way, you know. We all got. I feel like we all got different circumstances in life, a little bit, you know. But we all want the same things in a funny way, you know. Like you know, we all got a lot in common, basically. Like, you know, you look at a child. What does a child want? A baby, I'm talking about. Yeah. A baby wants to be loved, cleaned. You have to clean it now and again, especially with a nappy, you know. Do you know what I mean? That cries, the baby will cry for hours if the nappy's not changed, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's just a baby's way of communicating, isn't it? Whenever a baby cries, essentially it wants something or needs something. You know what I mean? But they can't talk.
But yeah, that's right. Yeah, but all a child, you know, you just need to care about everything on that baby. You know, every bit of skin, wash the skin, you know, and everything. You know, everyone wants that kind of love, really. Everyone, even when you're old.
Yeah, you have to look. Yeah, exactly.
When you're old.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lonely people, you know, especially old people today, and one thing they do miss is being touched. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like being alone, life can be better in a funny way.
Mm.
You know, I think it's a good idea not to have too many friends in life, you know. Just keep it minimum, I think, so you can focus on your own life. You know, I feel like if you have too many friends, you won't be able to focus on your own life so much, I feel.
Yeah. Lots of distractions. Yeah. And in all honesty, right, especially if you're someone like myself who's like got a very busy schedule, and I'm also like trying to pursue things in my life. I've got goals, I've got ambitions, I've got things I want to accomplish and achieve in life, like, and I'm working towards those things like wholeheartedly. You don't have time, you know. You have to see people when you can see them, essentially, you know. You know, because obviously, like, I work full time, 50 hours a week roughly. I've got a wife, 2 kids. You know, I'm busy around the house. I'm busy with my kids outside of work, and I've got my own priorities. And you know, that's what, like, I very much agree with what you said. Just keep your circle small. You know, just keep it small, and then you can, you know, I can literally count on one hand the amount of people, you know, less than that. You know. How many people that I, you know, call a real friend, like someone who's a real friend. Like people use that word too loosely sometimes. I think sometimes people like mistake acquaintances and different things for friends. Like, you know, it's, you know, a friend is someone who is fully dependable. You know, fully dependable. You know, you can rely on them and they can rely on you. If you see what I mean, like, you know, people, like I said, people use that word too loosely today. I think people need to understand that there's much more to a friendship than just, you know, a few laughs and a few, you know, if you're having a few drinks and maybe a few smokes. You know what I mean? There's much more to a real relationship than, you know, friendship than that. You see what I mean? It's much more, it's deeper than just surface level. You know what I mean? Is the person a loyal person? Is the person trustworthy? Is the person honest? Is the person someone that you could rely on if the shit hits the fan, you know? Not that you ever want to rely on anyone, because as a man, you always handle your own shit, and that's how it goes. But I'm just saying,
does he annoy you?
Well, just saying, worst case scenario, is the person reliable, you know? If shit really did hit the fan and you needed help quickly, would the person be able to help you? And vice versa. If the shoes were on you, you know, things were the other way around.
Yeah, everyone needs somebody like that, don't they?
Yeah,
everybody needs a friend, I feel.
That's what I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. People need to understand there's a big difference between people that they call acquaintances and colleagues, and, you know, real friends, you know.
I mean, in my past, I've had a number of friends, honestly, you know. I've met so many people, you know. And when I was a bit younger, you know, I had loads of friends, really, you know, but it's chaos. You know, I didn't know what I was doing then, you know, now I do, you know, I've got it controlled a bit more, you know.
Yeah.
And I've let certain friends go.
Yeah.
Because they were nasty to me.
Causing, yeah.
Well, you know, I let them go.
Destructive.
Yeah. You know, when I'm only trying to be nice to them, you know, do the best for them, if you see what I mean. And whatever, and yeah. So sometimes I feel like you need to say goodbye to certain friends quickly.
Yeah.
You know, because they use you. Some people, you know. But you know, like life is all about learning, isn't it? Big time. You know, and I'm still learning, even though I'm coming up to 58 soon. And I enjoy learning. Like when I was married 15 years back, I can kind of understand why she divorced me, because, like, for instance, I didn't do my own washing, and you know, I was just a different person back then.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never really sort of learned how to be independent. You know, and I think that's what she was looking for, an independent man that knew what he was doing. You see what I mean? You know. But you know, life's all about learning.
Yeah.
You know, I did try my best, but my best wasn't good enough, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I worked very, very hard.
Sometimes,
very, very
well,
hard.
sometimes your best.
13 years.
Sometimes your best isn't good enough, mate. And that is just one of the sad realities of life, you know.
That's true.
There's people that try to achieve things for many years and never ever achieve it. There's people that, same thing with relationships, same thing with other things too. You get people, you know, that might be an athlete, a professional athlete, and they might compete every single Olympics, but might never ever win anything. You know what I mean? Spent years, 10, 15 years of their life doing
They
this.
tried.
And that's what I mean. Of course,
Yeah.
it's the trying thing. You put in the effort and you were disciplined and consistent enough to get there in order to compete. So that's an achievement in itself. But it's just also a reminder to people too that not just because not everything is destined to be success, if you see what I mean. You know, sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board. You know, sometimes you have to cut your losses and go back to the drawing board and reevaluate and come up with another plan or another strategy. You know, try to do something else. You know.
I mean, I did find my ex-wife annoying. I didn't have Paris, I was in love with her, but after sort of living with her, you know, year after year, it got more annoying after year. You know, you know, and it's, you know, not just my fault, it's both our faults, you know, but I'm glad, you know, sometimes things happen for a reason, you know, and it happened, and now I'm, you know, I was absolutely devastated, you know, I felt like taking my life, and it took me a few years getting over it, right, really hurt me big time, you know, losing a beautiful woman, losing my house, losing my children, you know, but now I think about it, you know, it's just my, you know, it's like looking at my childhood in a kind of way. It's my past, and I learned from it. It's helped me get stronger, and I just feel like life is better now than it used to be because I know a lot more than I did, if you're with me. I wasn't enjoying life back then because I don't think I understood it as much as I do today, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. That's what comes with knowledge, though. Knowledge and maturity. You know, you know, that helps. You know, as we grow and we mature and our perspectives change. You know, the more life experience we have, the more information we're exposed to, the more whatever. You know, the more we kind of grow as people, if you see what I mean. Like, you know, yeah, that's very important. You know, it's being stuck in the same way of thinking, the same. Doing this, like they say, if you're doing something and you're not getting positive results and you keep doing it, that's like the definition of insanity, they say. You know, continually doing something and getting the same negative results and continuing to do it, that is insanity. So yeah, it's just, you know, staying focused and, you know, living life and making the most of it and being happy every day, trying to be happy every day and trying to be positive, you know, no matter what's going on or, you know, whatever the circumstances are, you know. Yeah.
So I said that I've had a very interesting life, you know. So I had a family before I got married, you know what I mean? But that's another story. And my childhood was interesting as well. It's fascinating, if you ask me, you know, when I think about it. But then I went through the 13-year marriage. That ended. And when that ended, I was sort of living with my brother, and pretty depressed at that time, you know, but still enjoying myself. He was doing boat parties. He was actually hiring boats in Southampton and doing these big boat parties, and I was trying to, you know, helping him basically, you know, but still, it's hard losing everything you love, you know, and work for. You know, it was a really difficult time for me, if you ask me, you know. But there I was, living with my brother, and then he lost his flat, okay? And so he didn't have a flat, right? So I was basically quite homeless, right? But then I met a millionaire, you know, I thought.
Yeah.
And then he gave, you know, I told him my story about losing my keys, and he gave me his keys to a beautiful boat in Canary Wharf. You know, I know that I've shared the story, you know, but it's, you know, it kind of changed my life, that did, you know, and I lived there in a very sort of like, it's a, lots of millionaires living around me, basically, you know, in a very posh area, on a very beautiful boat. And it kind of like saved my life, if you ask me, you know, I mean, like, if I didn't meet that guy, I don't know, you know, I don't think met you in a funny way, you know, and lots of things wouldn't have happened, and you know, the way they did, you know, and I feel like how many men actually get sort of like, because I didn't, you know, we were sort of arguing for a year, and then she took my keys off me, you know, when I went to stay with my brother's, you know, and I was locked out of my own home and children, you know. My children wanted to live with me, you know, at that time. So it was very mentally difficult for all of us and my children, you know. But how lucky am I just to get keys, you know, to take off and live somewhere for a year and a quarter, you know, in a very beautiful area, you know. And I had a very beautiful boat as well, you know. It was a luxury 3-bedroom sort of, well, it was a sun cruiser, you know what I mean? And I felt like I was blessed in life. And it kind of changed me, obviously, do you know what I mean? You know, like, you know, can you imagine losing your own family that you were really working hard for? You know, doing everything you can for, and then losing it like that, you know?
In a blink of an eye.
You know, it's like a hurricane coming over your house in a funny way, you know?
Just washing everything away.
That's right. You know, and I did see, you know, get custody of my children, but it's been so difficult, the whole lot of it, you know, and I've had 13 court cases with her.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a hellish, you know, sometimes
hellish experience.
Well, life is a bit like hell sometimes, it really is. You know, but now that's the past, do you know what I mean? All those court cases, and it's all kind of like, my children are all now in a funny way, you know, and you know, you're not so worried about them, you know, in a kind of way, you know, it's all different, it's all changed, you know, the whole lot of it, but it did teach me a lesson in a funny way, you know, about like getting married and all this, you know, because I really didn't know what even marriage, they don't teach you anything about marriage at school.
Yeah.
It's a, you know, you really, I mean, you can't really learn about it unless you get to it.
Yeah.
In a funny way.
Unless
I think there should be warnings.
I think people could be more educated, definitely, about
definitely.
what to expect about what happens in a marriage and what is expected from each person. If you see
I don't think they tell you the politics of it all, because nobody would get married. Basically, I think. If you see what I
think it would definitely
put people
deter some people for sure.
You know, because I realised that if I didn't marry because we were together for 7 years before we actually decided to get married. We already had a son. He was 4 years old.
Yeah.
We got married when my son was 4. Then my daughter was born when we were married. Do you know what I mean? But as soon as I got married, it's when she wanted divorce. Do you know what I mean? And it's like a weapon in a kind of way, you know. And I wish that we were still girlfriend and boyfriend with children. You know, why not? Why not? And without doing that, all the business ties, do you know what I mean? Because that's when it gets quite wicked. You know, I mean, that's the only reason why the courts were involved, because it was all signed.
The marriage and all the legal documents,
all the children, and all that. You know, it's a nightmare. You know, and it's sad, really, the way that, in a kind of way, marriage destroyed my family. That's the truth. I thought it was going, you know, I thought I was doing the right thing, but it went against me. And I think it often does for some people, do you know what I mean? Marriage is not necessarily a beautiful, heavenly, lovely thing, because it's not. You know, I am a loyal man. I didn't sleep with anyone with my wife, do you know what I mean? I was very faithful, you know, and I loved her with my heart. But she was not happy, if you see what I mean, for some reason, you know. So like I say, she wanted a man a bit more mature, I suppose, than I was. You with me? Mentally or something, I don't know. You know. But that's life, you know, and I think we all go, you know, fall in love. And often it breaks up.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Heartbreak.
That's all it can do, isn't it, really? Love can either break up or not.
Yeah.
You know? Or not break up. That's your two things. And
nothing lasts forever.
Well, the first year when you meet someone, it's all lovely. And
of course,
like heaven, isn't it?
Lovey-dovey.
You're seeing stars and all this sort of stuff, you know. But after next year, it gets a bit complicated next year, because you sort of know their family by then.
Yeah.
Then you start knowing their past, and you know, and you start arguing a little bit, you know, maybe, you know. And then the third year, you know, it's
and also things change
maybe
as the relationship as well. As the relationship goes by as well, and time goes by, the relationship dynamic changes as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you when you first meet, a lot of time people aren't living together, are they? So if they decide to eventually, after a year or two or however long, they decide, okay, let's get a place together, let's move in together, let's take this next journey of our relationship. That is a whole different experience in itself.
Yeah.
So once you experience living together, I think that's why I think it's very important personally that people should be at least together for a few years and then live together for a few years together in the same house, the same household and everything else before they get married. I think people should wait at least like 4 or 5 years, to be honest. I think people should spend like 2 years getting to know each other properly. You know what I mean? Just you can be, close, whatever. And then spend, if you decide to move in together, spend like another 2 years just like living together. And if if you're still happy and you're both still happy and still love each other and still want to be together and all that type of thing, then get married. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't think people should rush into it. I don't think it's something. I think people should, like basically experience part of what married life is like beforehand, mm-hmm. so that they can decide. They can say, okay, I can do this or I can't do this, rather than wasting someone's time, or wasting all the money of getting married and then getting divorced, and all the hassle of going through the legal system of dividing all the assets and all that type of shit.
It cost me a fortune getting married, I tell you. It cost me a fortune, all right. Yeah. And then it cost me a fortune, really, the divorce as well, and I lost a lot. I mean, but so it's like a dream to me now, and I think, what happened? Did I have family, Because like I say, time does go quick.
Yeah.
And when you look at 13 years in the past, it's quick. Time, I mean, once it's passed, it's gone. It's like a flash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a week ago, can you think what you did last? Well, I mean, I can't remember what we were doing last week actually. We were doing the same thing,
episode.
Yeah. But it's difficult to remember, isn't it? Sometimes of what you did like 3 years ago. And all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the time literally does go by so quickly.
It kind of like gels together in a funny way in your mind as one thing. I can't explain it. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing about life, your memory and your imagination, and you learn that language a little bit more each day. Without us realising it, we're always learning every day. Learning new smells or whatever, we're always learning. I mean, I don't know what I learned today, but I think I learned a few things. But, I think that's the purpose of life, really, is to learn how to master it. Master life, in every way,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah.
Mastering life.
Yeah, becoming wise,
Yeah.
I mean, today I'm the wisest I've ever been, really, and yet, I'm going to get wiser in 10 years' time. I'm hoping to be wiser than I am today, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, because I mean, I've really only started researching in the last 7 years, on the internet.
Okay.
And learning lots of different things, you know. And it's opened my mind up a lot more in a funny way, And like I say, when I was married, completely different person, I mean, I didn't have the internet really when I was married. A little bit, I mean, I got the internet and we were you had those chat things going on.
Oh yeah,
all that, and the internet was quite young then.
Yeah.
That way. And
yeah.
It didn't really have much up there.
No.
And every year that goes by, there's pages more and loads more music on the internet, and loads more photographs every day piling up, And then tomorrow there'll be more photographs uploaded, And it's just the internet's basically just getting a bigger and bigger place, if you ask me, And some of these people died, do you know what I mean? And I used to do Facebook quite a lot, whatever, And I've had a number of friends that have died, but their account's still there. Do you know what I mean? You know,
Mm.
you think like, what's it going to be? You know, in the future. You know, in a couple hundred years' time. You know what I mean? The internet. It's going to be a big place.
Well, I think it'll be completely.
If it's still around.
The internet in 100 years would be a completely different thing, mate.
Yeah.
I think it'd be on a completely different level. I think it'd be almost. I don't know. It seems like we're heading towards like this transhumanist kind of thing, like utopia, which I've talked about before. It seems like they're trying to merge man essentially with machine. They see that as the next. Some of these, billionaire. Some of these billionaire people believe that this is the next evolutionary step of the human being, basically making them kind of almost indestructible, and almost immortal, and almost, etc. Completely like your brain will be connected to the internet. So instead of having a computer or using a mouse, your brain would essentially be connected to the internet to the point where you think of something and the answer's there.
That's possible.
If you see what I mean.
Possible, maybe.
So it's quite scary, I think that is a little bit scary. I'm not really too keen on that personally,
Well, our mobiles can get on the internet, and it's almost the same.
Almost the same, but I don't.
Today, I feel like we are half machine.
Oh, we are, yeah.
Half human today.
We are.
Sometimes I'm on the computer at least 2 hours a day.
Mm.
I mean, I haven't been this week because I've been on holiday. How my brother is, whatever.